Are you there?
Hello there.
Are we live right now, or is this happening like right now?
Yeah, this is a private conversation you said you wanted or preferred.
I mean, yeah, if you planned on streaming this, I just meant if you planned on streaming this at a later point. I didn't know if you meant whatever. Not important. I
Well,
guess.
I figured I would talk to you now, and if you really want to make it a thing where everyone has to address this as a public shit show, as I usually do, that's something we can set up for later. It's whatever.
Yeah. Well, it seems like it's gonna go that way, whether anyone really wants it to or not. It doesn't really seem like that's my choice anymore. So,
Unfortunately, yeah, you're right about that.
yeah. So, I guess where do you want to get started in this conversation? I imagine you probably have plenty of questions, and I will do everything that I can to provide you evidence for anything that I have to say. I can't promise everything I have to say has evidence, like, for example, the whole Fursky Doodle filing a report. I can send you the DMs where I talked to Fursky on the 11th, and I
Mhm.
talked to him about the statutes that I was going to list and the evidence that I was going to be sending in my report. I can't send you a copy of that report because they don't exactly email you one back once you file it, unless you hear back from them, which I never did. So the best I can do is send you that conversation between me and Fursky, which is now public on Twitter. But
Hmm.
and I mean,
Uh,
I'm not disputing that the report that was acted on was not from me. I actually fully acknowledge my report was unsuccessful. I'm glad there was a successful one, but just because a different one was successful does not imply that I never actually made one. That's kind of dumb to think.
it's whatever on that one. I am a bit more curious about how you're doing now with all this shit going on, so to speak, for the moment anyway. Let's
Oh, my
start there.
grandmother died. How are you?
Oh, like is that how recent is that? Jesus,
Last week.
last week.
Yeah, I made an announcement in my server. So
Shit, I didn't know that.
yeah, no. So right now, my grandmother died. Currently, Cherry, one of the last lifelines that I still have, is right now currently arguing with my boyfriend for reasons I don't understand, and now this shit is happening. So I'm actually kind of hanging on by a fucking thread. So I'm gonna figure it out though. I'll be all right. I bounce back.
That's I'm sorry to hear that. That's probably the worst timing for all this to happen while your relative is yeah. Um,
It wasn't. It wasn't like it was planned or anything. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm not upset about it. No, okay, I am upset. I am very upset. But like, I'm not upset at you. So it's. I don't. Oh God. Uh, yeah. No, I'm good. I'm good. I'll be good.
Yeah, the most I can remember to my knowledge was I woke up still dealing with an awful sleep schedule, so I woke up again as usual later than anticipated. And I was like just going through my usual daily motions before turning on the Discord. As soon as I did, I saw there was a massive shit show in my server, um, revolving around a thread that was made about you, and there was to an extent I was kind of already admittedly aware of it because people were talking to me about this, and I did have a little bit of my own like, what the fuck is this? I had some of my remarks about that. Some questions about the nature of everything with
No,
this whole
I know.
conversation.
We had a conversation about that the other week, like before I visited my boyfriend. I remember that.
Yeah.
I was under no illusions that you weren't aware of at least some of the stuff going on. I That said, I don't think any of the shit that's currently happening is directly your fault. I don't blame you for that. In fact, I've even publicly said that that's not fair for people to do. Because like apparently some people on Twitter have been saying, that Cass needs to quote unquote control a server, and I was just like, that's he's not a fucking helicopter parent. So I'm trying, even though like I don't think there's anything fair for anyone in this situation, but I'm trying to be as fair about it as I can be as well. So
I mean, it's people on Twitter. I think people seem to forget. I'm in it for making a Discord server. I'm not in it to make Jamestown or Waco. I don't really care for that. I can't control what people say. I can, however, put my own input on it, and I have on some occasions. I've already talked to Lio about this. Um, in a other call with some people who were involved in making this thread to understand what was going on with it. So I think I'm aware enough to see that yeah, this is not a good look. I will admit, I when I woke up, I did sort of woke up and chose violence because as soon as I saw Dia threatening to flag down my Discord server over this, I will admit I was pretty pissed. said some shit announcements about it. Um,
Yeah, I actually told Dia in my admin chat that that was really not okay. Like like Cherry actually brought that up in my admin chat in my server saying that they really didn't agree with that. And I was, as much as I love Dia, he's my partner, and I'm even planning to move in with him. But I'm not gonna sit there and just pretend that wasn't a fucking mistake. Like I told him, I don't agree with doing that. People are gonna chat shit about me, and even if it's horrible shit, everyone has the right to chat shit about me if they feel like it. So I told him that I don't agree with that, and I told him going forward, please don't ever do that again.
yeah, I sort of get that he has attachments to you, but as the
I
saying goes, shouldn't be up to him to do that. And, oh, I'm gonna take down the server for quote
I
unquote racisms.
I understand. I'm making it clear what my reaction was. As much as I care about him, he's my partner and everything. I don't agree with what he did there. Making that just fully like there's no mistaking that one. That I don't condone that decision that you made.
Hmm.
So I've had what Vlad has literally made a video where he called me a pedophile multiple times, and like if I'm not even gonna flag that down, I think I'll be able to live with a Discord server hating me. So I don't think I don't like I don't agree with his decision, but we got it. I told him going forward, please don't ever do that again, especially not in my fucking name or whatever. I don't. That's I've made my peace with the fact people are gonna chat shit about me, whether it's true or not.
Yeah, I do remember saying that to you that like no matter how this kind of pans out, you will have people saying stuff about you. That's just how it is on the internet.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I've always kind of accepted, like ever since I became a content creator, I accepted that I was gonna eventually have a Kiwi Farms thread. So you're a furry on the internet, you will have one sooner or later. They will find a reason.
yeah, no, exactly. That's just how it works.
Anyway,
Um,
anyway, why don't we get to the questions? I think small talk's been.
I do have a few, but I also kind of want to make it clear that if we do have any questions, if like I just want to know in advance if you would be actually willing to have more of a public conversation about this. I feel like that might be pertinent to give you a little bit of a chance to defend yourself, given that honestly, a private conversation like this isn't going to do you any good long term.
I'm aware, and we've already had this conversation. I'm willing to do that. I would prefer not to do it now. I'm fucking exhausted. I'm still dealing with the jet lag, still dealing with a lot of shit. I'd like to at least get a little time to prep in advance. Think that is that asking too much? Like as long as it's just like not right now, because I'm not in.
No, that's perfectly fine. I'm obviously not gonna I'm not gonna remove that option for you. I was thinking maybe sometime I don't know this Friday or Saturday we can have a little interview thing and have these conversations at play. Now it might require you joining my server for a bit, and there will be people saying some stuff in there. So keep in mind if that's something you want to go through.
I would really prefer not doing that, and that's not okay. See, this becomes a catch-22 because I know that it's a bad decision. It is like always a bad decision to walk into a hostile crowd where they've already made up their minds. But the problem is if I don't do it, now I'm guilty simply because I refuse to do it, and it's the smarter decision not to do it. So it became a catch-22. It's like there's no real winning in that one.
Well, would you prefer I'm like do this on an adjacent server that I have some control in to host things, and you might be able to like have just people relevant to the whole thing speak their piece.
That would probably be better, yeah.
Yeah, no, I can at this point I can do that. Excuse me. Fucking notifications on Facebook. Um, Yeah, I'm willing to do that. I figure that's probably going to be required. Now I can't control whether or not that means people will join the server to say something that may not be adjacent to the whole thing, that may not be associates to this. But
And
I'm also curious, like, is there a specific limit on specific people you don't want to have in this conversation?
it's not so much that there's a limit on people I don't want to have this conversation. It's more so that I don't want to. I've seen a lot of these situations, not just on your channel, on multiple people's channels, where like someone goes in trying to have like one kind of conversation and then something happens and it turns into a shit show. I'm not interested in a shit show. If it becomes a shit show, I'll fucking play the part. Like obviously you know that I can do that, but like I'm more interested in actually getting through everything that's being said, getting to the nitty gritty details, providing any counter evidence that I have that helps prove my side of events. I mean, but if that's not in the cards, that's not in the cards. But that's mostly what I'm aiming for with this. So
Well, there's one thing I can do for you in that regard is that if it's more preferred for you to just have a let's see, excuse me. I do have I do have a bunch of backup channels, sorry, servers I use for the sole purpose of stuff like this if it becomes a little too much for people, or in case my initial server gets taken down because every single fucking day it's some freak telling me that I need to get removed off the platform because God forbid I mock a pedophile, or whatever. We
I'm
can
gonna be.
we can
I
host
just want.
those on there, and it just be people that are actually poignant to the conversation, and that be it.
I do want to point out. I do find it, and this is not anything that's related to you specifically, but I find it very odd that a lot of people seem to be having any kind of problem with me manipulating and lying to Sappho. I was just like, I wasn't under the impression that I had to be kind to dog fuckers and child rapists. Like, I didn't realize I was playing by bad rules or unethical rules, but okay. I didn't realize there was rules to play that I had to follow in this point, but that's news to me. So I this is just me thinking about how some people are being like, sorry, I'm still a little shell shocked at some of these accusations because it seems like even they don't agree what the accusations really are. So
So, well, yeah, I just want to know real quick. So, let's say we're doing this on a different server that will have a limit on how many people can join it, at least for the moment, where it's all people pertinent to the conversation and might have something to do with the thread. They have relevance to it, and would you prefer that? And we just do that for Saturday or Friday or whatever.
sure, I guess that's fine.
All right. Now,
Would I be able
obviously,
to would I be able to know who those people are in advance? I mean, it's not a deal breaker if the answer is no, but like, is that possible?
well, I don't know everyone who's involved in this just yet. I might have a few ideas.
All right.
Um, I do think it might involve potentially Cedric. I don't know. I haven't seen him do anything
I
outside of thread.
100% guarantee you it's going to involve Cedric and Pizza. At the very
Yeah,
minimum, it's going to involve them.
there will be obviously some of my mods in my server as well, because they're also sort of adjacent with some of these situations they came across that were also mentioned on the thread.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't looked at the thread myself. I was told about it days ago. I really didn't care very much. So I haven't bothered to like try to find it or look at it. It's always been my experience that there's not a whole lot Kiwi farms can realistically do to you if they make a thread, unless you actually start paying attention to it. So
Hmm. Uh,
it's just one of those things that I was making the decision that I'll cross this bridge when I come to it. Eventually, someone will bring this to a platform where it's like Twitter or YouTube or something, and I'll address it there. It just looks worse if I address this thread preemptively on a different platform. So
Understandable. I'm just saying that once you kind of agree to this, this kind of has to be a standard where, like, as they say, I have to hold you to it if this is something you agree to. So just be aware. That's the reason why I'm trying to make sure that if it's something you can agree to, we'll do it. Um,
yeah, no, I that's fine.
yeah, I mean, things are looking pretty bad with how people are handling it. So if, let's say, I talk about it and for whatever reason you don't show up, it might look even worse than it is right now.
No, I get you. If something comes up, I'll try to let you know ahead of time so we can reschedule. I don't expect that's going to be the case. I could probably do Friday or Saturday.
Mm.
Uh, I don't have anything going on either of those days to the best of my awareness. The only thing I can think is if some kind of emergency came up, which obviously I couldn't plan on, but if that happens, I'll probably let you know beforehand if possible.
Understandable. So long as that's set up, done and dusted, yeah, it would probably be the usual time, 6 p.m. my time. Same time, I
You're,
assume, because you're in California, right? Still there?
yeah. Okay, I didn't know if you were Eastern time or Western time.
Yeah, I'm was it Standard Pacific at this point? Still, that would be California. So yeah, there we go. Um,
California, it's our time.
Kami for our time, yeah. Since we're on the topic, I do have a few questions about what you also brought up. Was the pizza stuff? What's the deal with pizza and you?
I honestly don't know because when I was doing the op on Sappho, Pizza was aware of it. I mean, I made him aware of it around the same time that I made Rodeo aware of it. That I also made Lio aware of it, and it was one of those things that I didn't realize there was anything wrong on Pizza's end until Pizza and Cedric simultaneously like apparently blew the whistle on the op on Kiwi Farms, which immediately led me to like look at this situation like I tried to message Pizza afterwards saying why the fuck did you talk about that on Kiwi Farms like publicly because Sappho stalks her thread, you know, which clearly that's gonna blow my fucking cover on that one because I'm in the fucking DMs that he leaked or that Cedric leaked. I forget which one it was at this point, but I think it was Cedric. That Cedric leaked. One of them involved me. Pizza had already blocked me, and I found out Pizza had also left my server. You know, after that, and I was like, "Well, that can't be good." So, like, so I think I wound up after that reaching out to Rodeo, and I wound up trying to talk to Rodeo a little bit. I think like the same day I wound up, I think before Sappho wound up reaching out to me, I redact.dev'd my chats with Sappho because I didn't know how much time I actually had before Sappho put two and two together and realized that I was doing a fucking work. And the last thing I want is some crazy motherfucker who had literally put together an entire Telegram channel dedicated to ruining me, having any kind of access to these chats. Like, that's just bad news. That's a stupid decision if I had done that. So I redact.dev the chats. I should have exported them first. That was a mistake not doing that, but I didn't know how much time I had because Sappho keeps weird fucking hours. So I just did the fucking safest thing that I could at the time, and that was delete everything so Sappho couldn't take anything out of context. So,
But
um,
you do understand that in doing that, you have like nothing to show for it, and that's where people are starting to get really mad.
nothing to show for what.
Well, I mean, you talked about like because I assume this is the relating to you and Sappho talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this is what I'm getting from people because I've been talking to people about this and trying to understand where this is coming from. They thought it was weird that because of what Pizza referenced, which was the flirting aspect, and when all this shit was going awry, there was like no real tangible screenshots, at least not that much since you've been talking to her. How long you've been talking to her?
Um, I want to say beginning of December. I know it was after I started talking to the victim that I was helping. Because I was helping a victim, and one of the reasons why I even started talking to Sappho is because Sappho tried to apologize to me. I would have told her to fucking shove off, but at the time, because I was helping a victim of Sappho's, I saw this as an opportunity, and recklessly, needless to say, it was pretty stupid in hindsight, I jumped on this as an opportunity to get information. So that's what I wound up doing. Lio's already chastised me, saying that this was a very reckless and impulsive decision and I shouldn't have done it. I don't think many people would disagree with that. Um, but at the same time, hindsight is 2020, and I did what I did to try to help a victim. I saw an opportunity, I jumped on it. As far as not having any chat exports that can verify that I was in fact manipulating Sappho, that's actually not entirely accurate.
Hmm.
Yeah, Sappho actually did try to DM me on a burner Telegram account after the fact, and I exported the chats every single time that she sent any messages. So even though she deleted several messages and then starting the chats completely over,
Mm-hmm.
I have like 3 to 5 different exports of various different responses where she acknowledges that I like. It's like, was this all fake? And then it's like, oh, you're evil kind of thing. Like Sappho Sappho in these chats acknowledges that the reality that I was playing her. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, you only deleted these because these would make you look bad if anyone saw how evil and cruel you are. Um, so I can actually prove to some extent that even from Sappho's fucking words, no, this was entirely fake. And this exports, these aren't screenshots, by the way, these are chat exports. So um, I do have at least something. It's not the best evidence, but it is evidence. Because
Hmm.
granted, it's on Telegram and not on Discord. So, um, but at the same time, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, my question on that is like, what was the logic behind like trying to flirt with her in the first place? Really?
It was effective. Sappho's a very self-absorbed narcissist. She wouldn't fucking question somebody liking her. And I figured that she'd be far more inclined to be honest with somebody she thought was in love with her, especially because in her eyes, she thinks she can control them. She thinks she has something over them. She doesn't feel afraid or threatened or intimidated by somebody she thinks is madly and helplessly in love with them. So she's far more likely to say something that I can use because she just does not gauge me as a threat at that point.
How did you get in contact with her, and how did this like flirting initiate?
Well, she initially got in contact with me over Telegram, and like I said, initially I would have told her to shove off. However, that's not how it played out. I decided to jump on this as an opportunity, and then it moved over to Discord because I was just sick and tired of using fucking Telegram. I don't like that app. I really don't. So I just basically started talking on Discord. I think the handle was Bastet, which if you go through, I think the gay baby jail in your server, you'll find that handle. I don't know if she's changed it since, but that's the handle that she added me on. Um, oh, excuse me. That was around the time that you were doing the Zerkalo stream and she kind of showed up.
Mhm.
That was, I think, the same day that she reached out to apologize to me. Um, so that's why, like, I had said to her, like, I said that I forgive you. We are not friends, kind of thing.
Mhm.
That's that was the time. I forget what day exactly that was, but either way. So she wound up adding me on Bastet, and sorry, a little bit frazzled trying to remember what the fucking question was. How the flirting began? Is that where we got to?
Yeah.
Okay. The flirting began because I was talking to Alex. Alex was. I came to the conclusion that I needed to let somebody know this was happening in case it went bad. Um, so I talked to Alex mostly because I've known Alex for actually since around the Help Band Coyote Lovely time, I want to say. And Alex is the person that Pizza and Cedric, railroaded a little bit on Kiwi Farms as well. Um, and Alex was like, "Oh, okay. Well, is there anything I can do to help? I mean, I know that there's a Kiwi Farms user right now who's actually making artwork for several other ops going on. If you want, I can ask them to make loot art for you and Sappho. That way, if it would help sell it." And I'm like, "That would actually help a lot if you could do that." So that's where that artwork came into play. That was part of the work, and that artist who created it is a Kiwi Farms user who has created several different pieces for several different people doing ops on Sappho. That I can also prove. I have the screenshots of that. Um, so there was never any commission of that artwork. There was no money exchanging hands. That was entirely to sell the bit.
So you're telling me that you guys commissioned art of you and Sappho for the op you're saying?
No, we did
No?
not commission it. Commission implies that money exchanged hands. No money ever exchanged hands. And the artist who drew it was a Kiwi farmer who was creating multiple different pieces for multiple different ops. They solely created that piece of artwork to sell the bit. And they did this for a lot of people who were doing different ops on Sappho specifically.
Hmm.
And I have the conversation that can prove that.
Okay, okay then.
I understand exactly how weird it sounds, but it's one of those things that, in my opinion, I think it changes the context a lot because people were trying to sell this as, oh, he's clearly in love with Sappho, and no, this was solely to sell a narrative to her that she would believe.
So like the main oh, fuck, excuse me. The main thing I also wanted to know too is about Alex. What do you know about Alex?
Outside of me and Alex occasionally play video games together, and they use Kiwi Farms sometimes, and uh, they've been active on the Sappho thread as well as a couple of things. Not a super large amount. I mean, I do know that apparently he is a moderator in JSONFX's server.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to me, I don't know. I don't like JSONFX. I think he's a dirtbag and a degenerate, but at the same time, I don't really know what I think about people who moderate his server. I don't have an opinion on that because I don't know how that server operates and I don't have I don't have a fucking dog in the race on that one. So like I know Alex kind of like as a friend, but at the same time, as far as the JSON effects server stuff goes, it just falls into the category of not my circus, not my monkeys. I'm not touching that one.
Okay, so are you aware that Alex is kind of one of those types that viciously defends JSON effects, correct?
Yeah, I've been led to that conclusion. Yeah.
I don't have a lot of experience with Jason effects, but the most I know about him is that he's definitely a bit of a sick freak. And
I don't disagree with that whatsoever. I'm aware of the things people say about Jason effects. I think he's a dirtbag personally as well. I've even told Alex the same things that I don't like Jason effects, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I think he's a piece of shit. I'm not gonna judge you for who you decide to hang around, but at the same time, just know that I have nothing but negative things to say about him. So if you ever talk to me about him, I will never have a positive word to say. Um, I don't know what else to say at that point. And I've even told Pizza, like when in that recorded conversation, when it came to in the context of Sappho, and this also extends to people like Jason Effects. I can't make people listen to me when I tell them someone's a dirtbag. I can't make them listen to me and believe what I have to say. And ultimately, I know better than most people because of the situation with Zerkalo that happened to me. If you try to force that information down people's throats, you just push them further into the arms of predators. So all you can really do is fucking if they're your friend, you do a couple there's a couple different options. One of those options, which is the one I took, you just be there for them as best you fucking can, and you pick the pieces back up when the other shoe drops, and they're left with fucking nothing. You know, I don't know what else I'm supposed to do at that point.
um, well, I'm obviously just curious to know because, to my knowledge, I have talked to people involved, and so what I got from Alex is he's the type to he's involved a lot of people in the SOP, and then when like stuff with Sappho was going down, he started being very sympathetic towards Sappho, and which came across as incredibly a full 180 from his original position, and things started happening from there. So it came across to me like this op was a going to be a shit show from the start because he already got a bunch of people involved in this. He got too many people from the
That
Kiwi farms into his own shit. So
that was actually that was not like right. So I think I remember the time frame where he actually started talking to Sappho and like actually felt sympathetic towards them because he wanted them to actually change for the better. That was around I want to say the beginning of January, if I have my time frame correctly on that one. I can double check the timestamps but I believe it is somewhere around that time. Alex was made aware of the op happening with me, which, mind you, the one that I was doing was completely separate from a lot of the other ones. Most of these people were doing things independently, so the people who were aware of what I was doing were at the time me and Alex, and then it was me, Alex, and the artist who created that one artwork. And then around the end of the month, I only told Pizza, Lio, and Rodeo solely as like, okay, I don't, and the reason why I told them also is because you know I didn't know how to feel about Alex fucking being sympathetic towards Sappho. My worry, and mind you, it was a worry in the back of my head. It's not what I thought was going to happen, but it was a worry. Is that Alex might say something about my op and blow my cover, and then the failsafe that I now put into place is going to fall through. That's why I told three other people that I knew would never be sympathetic towards Sappho, if that makes sense.
but yeah, you understand the people's critiques though with that is that this guy got involved a bit and he's being a bit wishy washy with how he handles it and shit started happening. I
I
don't
mean,
know
I
what.
understand that. I understand that, but if that's supposed to be a critique of how the decision I made involving him in the first place, I could never have known he would have ever done that. It was when I involved him, it was like around mid to early December, and he decided to suddenly become sympathetic around like late December to early fucking January. Like, there's no way I could have that kind of foresight that would have happened.
Hmm.
So I mean, at that point, it's like, what are people actually being critical of me in that regard for? Like, that makes no fucking sense. For not being psychic, for not being clairvoyant. Like, what's my crime in that?
I don't know what to tell you since I'm basically here as the more of the party on the the hindsight after the after shit show.
Believe
So
me, I've done plenty of the hindsight shit already. I've seen the best decision I could have made in all of this was not doing it.
I don't
And
know
there's a
if
lot of
I don't know if I fucked up on not like reiterating this question properly or if like I didn't pay attention. Yeah, I will admit I'm a little bit my focus is not the best at the moment. I just wanted to ask, so did you or Sappho initiate like which one of you initiated the flirting? I was just curious about that.
I want to say it was her,
Hmm.
and I used that as an opportunity during the conversations. Um, but over time, throughout the conversations, both of us flirted back and forth simply because it was effective and I knew it.
All right. How far did you guys go into this, by the way?
How far could we possibly? We were on Discord, man. Like, how far could we have gone? Like, what does that mean?
Well, I mean, like, what kind of stuff were you saying to them? Like, what got them going to really get them to really think that you were into them?
I don't know. I just complimented their voice. I knew that they were vain enough with that simply because, the whole fucking hypnotism bullshit. I just played into the things that I knew that they would fucking, get really like, oh my god, that's so sweet kind of shit. So I played into their fucking voice because I know that they like that when people compliment that shit. I just used basic fucking shit that I knew that they were already super vain about. It
Hmm.
was pretty easy to do. All it really took was like looking at their fucking content, looking at the things that they constantly loved when people complimented it, and just complimenting that shit. Like it wasn't really like any kind of deep psychology or anything like that. It was basic, just oh okay, well this person's vain here. I'm gonna compliment this. There you go.
Okay, so it's not like you were ever saying anything very weird towards them, like something that might feed into a fetish or two, like their hypnotism or
I
anything.
I did at one point during the conversations, and this is because I wanted to get it recorded because I wanted to see what the fuck they were actually doing that didn't show people, which unfortunately never played out. I feel like it possibly could have if the op didn't get blown, but I was actually letting them, like, telling them that I would love it if they tried to hypnotize me, simply because I wanted to hear for myself the kind of shit that they tried to say to people when they were hypnotizing them. Because like I do remember, if you remember that whole fucking thing that came out in my video about
Mm-hmm.
how they actually caused somebody to think they were being fucked by a dog in a hypnosis session.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to see if I could get something like that fucking recorded, them trying to do something like that, because that would have been huge to have something like that fucking like you cannot hide from what you are doing right here. This is recorded. That's what I was working towards with that end. So I was actually telling them, hey, if you're ever feeling comfortable with hypnosis again, I would love it if you would try that with me, just because that way I could fucking record that shit.
I don't know, man. That sounds like an incredible risk on your part. Like,
I don't really understand how it would be. I mean, it's not like they can actually hypnotize me if I just keep my fucking eyes open and just record it.
well, I mean, yeah, but it's I don't know. It just comes across as a bit like, oh, that's a bit risky. I mean, it's I'm not an expert at hypnosis, but I do know that a good factor to get someone under a genuine spell under that shit is just requires a willingness to do it
Well,
uh,
I mean,
from the
that's
victim.
to the best of my awareness, that's the willingness to do it is mostly the willingness to be hypnotized. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things that if I know why I'm doing this, which literally is not to be hypnotized, it's to record their attempt at hypnotizing me and what they do when they think they have me under, which she can't fucking see me. So it's like I don't have to really try very hard to pretend to be hypnotized. She has no way to physically just like see if I'm hypnotized or not. So like it wouldn't have fucking mattered. I could just record the audio and then just immediately there it is. This is what she's actually doing in hypnosis sessions that she's not uploading. Like that would have been huge. Like I get where the concern comes from, but to me, it's one of those things where it's not really a risk at all, given how hypnosis works. And I just, you know,
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I'm perceiving this different than you are, but the way that I looked at this was I don't feel a sense of risk here. Instead, what I feel is a sense of blowing the lid off of what she was actually doing to people that she denied. You know, because there was already claims out there that she was fucking abusing people using this hypnosis. So to me, getting actual smoking gun evidence of that was worth the risk. I mean, I was already in the fucking op to begin with, so may as well get some more out of it.
so when she flirted with the idea, does she ever flat out say that she wants to hypnotize you and make you do things to a dog or something? Or simulate the
Um,
idea?
she did not to a dog. No, that was never something that came up. But she did state that if she ever got back into hypnosis, which she was planning to, she would definitely like to try to hypnotize me.
Just
That
that,
was this.
just a vague, I want to hypnotize you. And
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what. Like, yeah, I don't. I really don't think, as stupid as she is, she wasn't gonna just say, "I want to hypnotize you into fucking a dog." Like she's not gonna just say that. Let's be real. No one says that.
Yeah, like I mean, I can only infer the idea that she would probably would be saying it, but not saying it outright to you. But that's kind of just like I just want to be sure with these questions.
No, I get that. Like I I feel like I don't know if it's like Twitter brain rot affecting me right now or if it's like something going on. I feel like I'm explaining things very badly and that's not what I'm trying to be as like clear as possible, which probably isn't helpful that in my head, but regardless.
Well,
The point is, because I was already involved in this op, I saw this as an opportunity, in for a penny, in for a pound. This is
mhm,
now an opportunity to get more information to confirm something that I've suspected for over a year, and that is a huge thing to have confirmed. If I can get that, because I'm already doing all of this, I may as well go for it.
mhm. And well, I mean, did you ever end up getting any smoking guns about that, or is that just basically kind of thrown out the window?
Sadly, no. And the reason why is because the op got blown when Cedric and Pizza posted my name on Kiwi Farms. So
Mhm,
that did not happen. Fortunately, though, I was able to get her herself confirming her address. Now, when I say that, it was around the same day that her docs was posted on Kiwi Farms. Now, I get it. Her docs was posted on Kiwi Farms, but at the same time, there have been multiple doxes made about her, most of which have turned out to be inaccurate. And it was at the time I was talking to the victim who was filing a police report. So it's one of those things that you don't really get a whole lot of chances with that. I had to make sure it was accurate somehow, and when she confirmed the address was in fact accurate, to me, that's solid confirmation. I now know beyond a shadow of a doubt this dox is true. And the way that I look at it is this op would not have given me that 100% certainty. I'm sorry, this without doing this op, I would not have had that 100% certainty. I could have been confident in what Kiwi Farms had to say for whatever reason or another, but I would not have had 100% certainty without Sappho saying it to me directly with her own two fucking words. Not two words, I'm sorry. Fuck, I am out of it. With her own mouth.
No, I
Oh
get
god.
you. I'm just saying like this because I sort of get where people are coming from because I haven't heard of too many cases of people being like, "Yeah, I'm going to be in bed with the enemy to expose them."
I would
And
hardly call it in bed. We never Okay, I think that's kind of an embellishment of the reality here. Like,
it's more of a metaphor. I'm just going with the idea is that like flirting with the enemy, that type of shit. I mean, like I've said this critique, and I'm bound to say it again when we're doing the show on I assume Friday, hopefully, that like it comes across as too much like LARPy James Bond territory. Like obviously, life isn't a James Bond film. You don't just like go around wanting to be in bed with the spy or
well, yeah,
attempting to
like
flirt.
no shit, but the way that I look at this particular case is that this was one of the few fucking cases where it was actually effective, and I'm I'm not ashamed of lying and manipulating predators in any way that I have to in order to help a victim. And if people disagree with the way that I chose to do it this time, I can't fault them for that, but at the same time, it was effective for what I needed to do. And yeah, I'm here to help the victim, and I don't care what that means. What it takes for how I have to lie to or manipulate a predator.
Mhm.
I'm not here to be nice to the dog fucker or the child rapist. I will lie to them, manipulate them. I will fucking gang stalk them halfway across the internet if I fucking have to. I don't care. I'm here to help the victim. I'm on the victim side. So if people have a problem with the way that I chose to conduct myself here, that's fine. That's their right, I guess. But at the same time, my motive was to help the victim, and that's exactly what I ended up doing. So I'm, I guess it's one of those things that if people have a problem, I get it. I just don't care very much.
Well, okay. Well, my issue with that logic is that, like, to an extent, people will have to do what they do. Okay, well, I'm not going to argue too much about that. My issue is that there is such a thing as bad tactics and stratagem in general. And if you're going to put yourself at risk, and I do think it's a bit of a risky tactic, and you don't have a lot to show for it immediately, it's going to always cause problems with people. As much as I understand to an extent where you're coming from on this, because I don't see the point in moral fagging, as they say, about people doing what they need to do to expose monsters, like yada yada yada. I can understand a little bit of the criticism because, like, I've never heard of a case like this before. All right, like this is kind of new to me. It's a hard territory for me to swallow.
I mean, I get. Let's phrase things a little bit better for now. No more swallowing anything. But okay. Anyway,
Oh yeah, no, I get you.
regardless, the way that I look at that, where it's just like, I understand what you're saying there with like risky tactics, but at the same time, given the fact that I'd never done anything like this as of last summer, and I still wound up with my fucking family and fucking home and me being threatened by multiple fucking unhinged individuals. It's one of those things where it's just like, you know what? Even playing fair, you're still gonna in a dangerous position. You're still gonna get fucking threatened. You know
Yep.
what? I'm just gonna do what's effective, whatever that happens to be. I don't fucking care anymore. If people have a problem with it, they have a problem with it. If they don't, if they don't. I'm not here for people's approval. I'm here to do something, and I'll do whatever I have to get it done.
Well, my thing about
Because
this,
clearly, no matter what, from some direction, I'm going to be getting some kind of flack, whether that's a threat from zoophiles or pushback from a community that doesn't approve of what I'm doing in order to catch zoophiles. It doesn't fucking matter at this point. Someone's going to have a problem with it. I might as well just do what I really want to do and help the victim, help by what any means necessary.
well, as the saying goes, I'm not trying to be antagonistic about it, but I do understand Lyo's critiques, and I also understand a few people's to a certain extent. I think it's a little bit brashy, and that's just where I'm at. That might just have to be a sort of agree to disagree type of
I'm not
deal.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying Lio is actually. I fully think he's actually correct in that I was very reckless in what I did. I acknowledge that. It was a very reckless decision. It was one made entirely on impulse. An opportunity presented itself, and I made a decision in the moment to jump on that opportunity. You know, I also understand some of the criticisms people have to say about it. I don't agree with them, but I understand them. As far as all of those things, I understand where they're coming from. It's just that I don't agree and don't care for most of it. And as far as what Lio had said with it being reckless, that's just a completely valid statement. It was. It was one made on impulse because something happened, and I jumped on that. Like there's no two ways about that. It's just a factual statement to say it was a reckless thing to do.
Well, I mean, think of it from these people's perspective. You've been demonized, attacked by Sappho. I mean, I kind of understand where that's coming from because she's got a hate boner against me for fuck's sakes, and has tried some shit herself. Um, it's going to seem weird to people because they see you as a guy who does these things against pedophiles, and she's practically one of your number one enemies because of what she's done and said and did with other people you
Well,
associate with, and then like they hear you're flirting with each other. It's going to drive a lot
well,
of emotional problems with people.
if anything, that should only make them think this is an op even more, simply because she literally threatened to burn down my home. How in
Mm.
the ever loving fuck am I gonna fall in love with her? Like that's idiotic. To even the only reason that actually like makes sense as far as Sappho's concerned is because she's a narcissist who will make it make sense. She feels entitled to adoration. I don't understand how other people didn't immediately think this is a fucking work. He's doing a work right now. Because you have to be certifiably brain dead to think that somebody who legitimately has one tried to make people think I'm an abusive partner, two spent the better part of a year trying to destroy my reputation, three threatened to murder me, my family, and burn my home down all at once. To make people, and then four put my name on their suicide note so that I would get in legal trouble. My legal name. Um, and then five also assisted Zerkalo in all the manipulative bullshit they did to me for all that time. You would have to be actually insane to think I could ever fall in love with somebody like that. Like there's no conceivable way anyone is so fucking stupid they think I actually loved her. There's no way.
Well, I think
Like
from I think
saying
from
that out loud, do you see how stupid that sounds?
you mean in with the way you see it, yes, it does sound stupid. The way I see it is that it could always go many different ways. I'm not an expert in many things in life, but I do know for certain that um let's say what happens if you did get involved with this person, it turns out you ended up did catching feelings somehow. It happens. It no one controls that shit. In fact, I've known plenty of people who have hated each other's guts and they start, dating each other and they get married within the year. Um, Probably I've known people done worse than all of this when it comes down to like antagonism. It happens. You never know for certain. That's the problem with the communication is that there's a lack of that, and a lot of people are going to be confused about that. And it's fair to say that because for all I know, any one of these people could be harboring feelings for anything. I could be talking to some self-proclaimed pedo hunter, and I probably wouldn't know for 4 months until it turns out he's fucking the enemy. Dumb shit happens. I just personally haven't heard of it happening on my fucking yard yet. So it's it's hard to say. I can't say for certain. Not saying that you're doing that. I'm just telling you how people are going to see that, and people are going to assume that because shit like weird humans are weird when it comes down to relationships. That's the best I can say.
I don't know. I I guess I understand what you're saying, but to me that seems so far from logical that it feels almost like a cope when people are trying to use that as like a way to justify being angry at me for that. It's like
Well,
that. No, I know. I get what you're, but it to me because that makes no fucking sense. Like I'm not wired that way. It feels like a. I hope you understand where I'm coming from when I say that. And I'm not saying I get some people may think that way and like that's a valid point of view to have, but I don't know. That just feels like a cope to me because I cannot conceive of the idea of ever falling in love with somebody who has so severely wronged you and so many others. Like she fucking convinced a fucking child to carve their name into their body. Like how could anyone think I would love somebody like that? Like that's sick.
look,
I literally fucking was interviewed in a magazine talking about how sick she was. A publication that fucking spread to tens of thousands of fucking people. Like, are you serious? Like,
well, let me put it in this perspective. It's only been a couple of 100 years, more like 150, more accurately, that humanity pulled itself from the long dark history. And in that time, plenty of people have gone to war against each other, killed each other in massives, done horrible things to children involving sexual activity, and plenty of people who were on both sides of the aisle anytime it happened still ended up finding excuses to fucking marry each other. It happens all the time. It sounds corny and retarded until you realize humans are weird.
well, I mean, I also happen to be dating somebody, so I mean, it's not like, you know, I literally just got back from visiting them as well. So
Yeah, and I get that, but like it
I
still doesn't
I
change where that goes, I guess, for people.
I I understand what you're saying. I guess to me, it just feels like there's such an overabundance of things that should be telling people the opposite of what they're saying right now. You know, there's so many things that are just if you just glance at this for like a minute and think about it for like a minute, it should be fairly obvious that there was like no fucking shot that I had feelings for Sappho. I'm dating somebody else, happily so. We're planning on moving in together in a couple of months. There's a fucking laundry list of reasons why I hate her, just out of the personal wrongs she's done to me, not even including the things she's done to other people. And not only that, the fact that there's a fucking victim that I'm assisting, and I can even present a fucking paper trail of conversations between me and this victim. It's like it feels like there's so much evidence staring everyone in the face. Some of it, granted, I haven't shown to the general public yet, but I can very easily can. I have it on hand, like the text messages and the emails and shit. I can even get in contact with the fucking victim right now. They've been made aware of this situation. They've even said that they are willing to make a public fucking statement because they know that this is bullshit. It's one of these things that there's so much evidence though staring everybody in the face. It's like you have to be selectively ignoring all of that evidence to believe this at this point. And I get where you're coming from. I get where I get that for the most part it's a devil's advocate. I understand that.
Mhm.
But from my position, it feels like there is such an overabundance of evidence that is pointing to the conclusion that I never cared about Sappho and this was all a means to an end. It just feels like people are selectively ignoring it for some reason or another.
Well, and that's where I have the idea of potentially having a little stream where we have to talk about this publicly, because I'm going to assume if you really think that you have something to really defend yourself with, that might be your only real option right now. Because right now, I've been talking to Lio. He's fucking not happy with this whole thing. and I can't say for certain what he's going to do, but it does not seem positive in your favor. At least what he told me. And so is a lot of people. I don't know what
I'm
that's
sorry,
going to
what?
mean for you. I had talks with Lio talking about you, and he's really unhappy, and that might lead to somewhere. I don't fucking know. It was kind of vague. Um, I of course have my receipts on that conversation. Should it turn out he's probably not being honest with me about that, but my point is that how I see it, if you want to have a conversation on stream about this sooner or later, that's fine. I don't know all the information that's out there yet. I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck this is going on. Uh, I have a feeling that maybe by Friday or Saturday there'll be more things to talk about with the thread because it is pretty small compared to a lot of threads. But um, my thing with this is I just want to know, like, was it really worth it going after Sappho in this matter to you? Was there perhaps like something else you could have done that would have just been more effective, arguably?
I'm thinking.
Okay, sorry.
I think given that there was no way I could have known things would have gone the direction they did, and at the time I was thinking about helping the victim, if I were presented the option to go back and do it again, I actually probably would. Because I'm honestly, my reputation is going to go eventually. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to help the victim when they reach out to me for help. I sometimes that means doing things that are going to make people not like me or side eye me. There's nothing really I can do about that. At the end of the day, I did what I did to try to help a victim, and yeah,
Also, I
it.
forgot to ask this earlier because it did really relate to someone I just mentioned. So, Laya was telling me that you wanted to quit the whole pedo busting thing a long time ago. Is that true?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it, tossing the idea around.
All right. I just thought I would ask because, in my opinion, given how things are going, I think you probably could just save yourself a little bit eventually by going just passing the torch to someone that might be willing to do it, might have some gumption and history, and then just move on from this. Because I have no idea how this is going to be positive for anybody. If
I
I'm going
don't
to be
think it
honest with
is
you.
positive for anybody, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
The best case for me is that I proved that I never, to the best of my ability, proved that this was clearly all a work, which I have all of the receipts and evidence that I'm not only confident, I'm almost certain that I can prove that. But at the end of the day, it's going to leave people asking questions no matter how it comes out. So um, I can prove things to the best of my ability, all sorts of fucking receipts, but it's not going to change the fact that some people, for one reason or another, will still have their minds made up in the opposite direction.
Well,
So
I mean, that's
either way,
true, but can you at least concede to the idea that, like, part of the issue is around this time you already just got off of dealing with Zerkalo?
I actually fully agree with that. I did not consider the timing. Like I said, when I made the decision that I did, that was not something that had crossed my mind. Um, I can see why that definitely does look bad. That said, um, as far as that's concerned, the way that I view that is that this happening and that happening are incidental. They're two situations that occurred independent of one another. Um, and as far as Zerkalo goes, I always told people I made the promise that if proof of predation, that undeniable proof of predation comes out, I will be one of the first to burn them down, and I kept that promise.
Mm-hmm.
I handed over as much evidence as I could to Lonza for their video. I made a video of my own. I, came on stream when I was asked to, on your channel and on other channels. So, I mean, I did everything in my power to try to make that right. So, as far as that's concerned, um, it's an unfortunate circumstance, absolutely, and it definitely I understand why it would look bad in conjunction with this here, but I did the best I could in that regard, and when push came to shove, I kept my promise to the public that I would be one of the first people to burn down Zerkalo if proof of predation came out, and I saw that proof.
Mm-hmm.
So as far I don't know what else to say on that one except I was good to my word. So
Um, I don't know what to say either. I'm still trying to process everything that's been happening for a while, so that's kind of why I'm a bit, admittedly, jumpy from here to there on points. I'm sure by the time um the
I'm
actual
sure it's probably
interview.
been a long day for both of us.
Yes, I've been dealing with a lot of this shit for some reason. So
Yeah.
that's fun. Needless
Yeah,
to
no,
say,
definitely.
once Friday is a thing or Saturday, whatever the interview is up, I'll definitely have better answers or questions and better idea around what to talk about. Because I even haven't gone through all the thread just yet. I don't even. I,
And also, just to clarify, as far as proof that I have actually at least given successful reports in the past, Archive the Wolf has created that testimony right there that I sent you. There is at least one testimonial from a reputable source that I have, in fact, filed police reports that have had something come of them.
Mhm.
It's not just me saying things. Like it's not a Naya Okami situation where it's like, oh, I'm actually a federal informant. Lamau. It's like, no, I know I'm not a federal informant, but I am somebody who has filed reports that have had people act upon them in the past. So it's not that's not me just shouting out hot air. That's a statement of like reality that we live in.
Mhm.
Just a kid. I'm just a citizen. I can't make people do anything. I can't make government listen to me. But I have simply filed reports that sometimes are successful. That's it.
Mhm.
So as far as that whole track record of having had at least, some reports that did get acted on or that did, go somewhere, that is true and I can prove that.
All right. Well, whatever receipts I can receive, that would be helpful. For now, I'm kind of just I'm just
I'm
reading
going to be
all this.
sending you everything that I possibly can. Like this time I'm not sending you uh because in the past conversations I've had, one of the biggest problems I think that happened is that I did not send the entirety of the text conversations. What I plan to do this time is actually call Reina, see if she's willing to let me send you the entirety of the text conversations instead of having to redact very select parts of it and sending them. And if possible, see if she's willing to give a statement about this whole situation and confirm that I have been assisting her, as well as sending you the email correspondence between me and
Mhm.
her from November. I mean, I'm at this point, all bets are off, and I'm going to send literally everything I possibly can while still respecting the victim's wishes.
All right, understandable. So I just want to make sure, are you willing to do this on Friday or Saturday, whatever, however that works?
I think at this point I would prefer Saturday because it at least gives me the extra day to get in contact with Reina and get everything in order.
Understandable. Yeah, we'll have that on Saturday then. I
Plus, it
how
gives you the extra day to get all the evidence for any accusations against me together as well. So I figure it's a fair trade.
Understandable. I will hold your word to it if it turns out you like for as long as I can. If it turns out like it's not going to be a thing, there might be some problems, but that's besides the point. That's kind of typical. I just want to be able to understand what's going on with these people. There might be people popping on to say their piece if they're involved in this in any way. So I hope you have like all that in the back burner. You know what I mean? You got stuff ready.
I mean, I would really need to know who's going to come on simply because, I'm not a psychic. I can't like fucking. I don't have magical foresight that's going to be able to determine. Oh, this person's popping on, or there, or it's like, if I don't know who's connected to what or what they have to or what they have to say, there's no possible way I can
Okay,
have anything on the
well,
back
the
burner for
ones
them.
I know for certain would likely be maybe Cedric or Pizza. Um,
Oh, okay, sure.
yeah, I don't know who else. If I'm gonna be honest, I know that there might be some people. But I don't fucking know. I'm trying to figure that out as well. Um, either way, I'll if you got receipts, feel free to send them. I gotta go do some stupid shit and go to sleep.
All right, you have a good night. I guess we'll see you on Saturday.
Yeah, later.